Hi, welcome to the Health In Show. Today is October 29th, 2012, and we're going to be talking with Garla Smith. But first, and also we have our co-host, Dr. Deepak Sharma of the Orbits Clinic in India, and we are very pleased and thankful that he is able to tune in with us today, and we'll throw in a little bit of homeopathy, even though we're talking about resume building. And I want to thank our producer, Amnon Nissan, for being with us and getting the show on the road. We also, so I'm going to start today with something a little bit serious because there are 50 million people in harm's way with Hurricane Sandy, and they're expecting some pretty major traumatic experiences for people who are living in that area with storm surges between 4 and 11 feet. And hopefully as many people have gotten into a place of safety as possible. So I'm just going to breathe and take a moment to say a prayer for protection, that the Creator, God, the one who oversees all, watches over us, protects everyone, all of the children in the path of the hurricane. Let the storm pass through and be in a place of shelter. That he who dwells in shelter and the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. And we put our faith and trust in the one above. And no matter what the situation that you are in, whether it is something beyond your control, such as a hurricane, or something that you can take action steps for, that is why we are here on the Health In. People think that it's only about homeopathy, but it isn't, because homeopathy, I mean not just homeopathic remedies, homeopathy is total health, holistic health. It is about caring for self, caring for others, whether that is dealing with your financial situation, with your physical problems, with your emotional stability and balance, no matter what it is, this is our health, total health. And therefore, learning how to build your resume, make it the best that it can be so that you can find a job and a position or move into a position that best suits you, as we are constantly growing day by day and year by year. You might need to have that to pull out in an occasion where something turns up, either an opportunity or you meet somebody who has an offer for you and you want to be ready. And that's why we're so pleased to have Garla Smith with us. And I'm going to do a little introduction. That Garla is a college instructor. She advocates to help mothers return to the workforce and teaches all how to improve our resume for that interview. Because probably, Garla, as you're building your resume, you're also tuning into the best that you can be, what to put forth when you go for that interview. Garla is the CEO and owner of Smart Moms, a Cary, North Carolina-based company that helps businesses fill part-time, virtual, and contract positions with skilled moms and dads. Smart Moms also provides resources for job seekers that are just re-entering the workforce, such as classes, assessments, interview skills, resume writing, and networking. She is a regular contributor on a number of websites and a guest expert on SusanIreland.com, answering questions for moms who are seeking to return to the workforce. She answers entrepreneurial questions from students at F4K.com, Future for Kids website. And she's, prior to being the co-founder of Smart Moms, she was in manufacturing engineer and documentation specialist for Hewlett-Packard and Applied Materials. She is so organized, and that's what you have to be to write your resume. You know, you think about somebody who's an engineer, that they dot the I's and all cross the T's and have everything in order. That's where she's going to get you today. So I'm going to welcome you, Garla, and wave hello to Dr. Sharma.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello everyone. Hello, Gala.
Hello. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for having me on the health end. And I'm excited just to share a little bit about resumes. I think you gave a great lead in about why having a resume is so important. You never know when the right opportunity is going to come up. Someone may ask you to be a speaker. You may meet someone at a networking event or at a restaurant who works at a company that you're interested in working in. And having a resume that you can send to them within a 24-hour period is key. Opportunities are coming up quick and they're closing quickly, and so you want to be ready.
Very good. And, and other reasons. I was talking to Dr. Sharma just a moment ago, and I asked him about personality clashes in the business field. No matter what field you're in, you might have some situations where you want to change your job. So that's another reason, and that goes across the board for no matter where you are in the world or what field, whether you are in the medical field, the health field, or another area.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, definitely. When anyone is suffering from irritability personality disorder, and he always thinks that I am not satisfied with the job here. And when we are talking about the personalities in homeopathy, we have the individualization, and we have the individualized symptom in every personality. Like one person is going to a company and just show the resume to HR or any interviewer, and he just have a sweating on the face. He has anxiety or he has some type of fear in front of the interviewer. So that is the different type of personality we are explaining in the show later. But here Gala will say about how we will make the resume effective.
Okay.
Many of the persons have a fear that I have not a complete resume. Is the interviewer will cancel my job due to my resume? So that is the main point.
I see. So we do have many anxieties, anticipations, and fears about our job, whether we are worthy or not. So I do want to get right into the points on building the resume, and then toward the end, if you hang in with us, we'll talk about homeopathic remedies to assist us. Okay, I'm ready to learn. What do we do?
Okay. All right, very good. I have a short PowerPoint. I'd love to be able to show it because I think it's always good to visually see something. I will say in the healthcare industry, there are two common resumes or two common ways to show your work and your experiences. One is the resume. The other one is the curriculum vitae, which is also known as the vita. And so depending on what you're going after, you may choose to use one or the other. Resume is very short. It's a brief summary of your education, your experience, your qualifications, where the curriculum vitae can be 2+ pages, sometimes anywhere from 2 to 5 pages. It is a long, detailed history of what you've done. And so if you're going after jobs that are professional in nature, maybe you're going to work for the government, or you're editing or writing or working possibly in a small doctor's office, and a resume might be a good fit. But if you're going into research or very large companies where there's a research or pharmaceutical type environment, those environments are looking for curriculum vitas. They're looking for everything that you've done. And so that's just a difference. I will say we may not in this session go over actual examples, but you can always use the internet as a wealth of information for just typing in curriculum vita examples in Google or resume healthcare examples in Google, and you will see resumes that come up that will help you build your resume. Just as a side note, Dr. Sharma mentioned fear, and I think, one, there are definitely some ways that we can counteract fear through homeopathy and other treatments. But one way to really counteract fear is to prepare.
Excellent.
To take the time to do your resume. And I always tell my clients and students, set aside at least 8 hours to put together a resume. It might not be 8 hours all in one day, but you may work on it for 2 hours. Come back, review it, work on it for another 2. But just realize that you got to put the time into writing a good, strong resume. And if you're recapping your experiences and then putting those on a resume, when it comes time for the interview, you have already done the reflection about what your experiences are, what your values are, what your transferable skills are, and you can communicate those verbally along with showing your resume as a tangible piece of what you've done. Does that make sense?
Fabulous. And I'm just looking at your visual now, which is on the wall in back of you. Believe, and all the little green notes. And I'm not up close enough to see all those notes, but I'm sure it's believe in you and all your skills.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
And sometimes you have to put things on the wall. Sometimes you have to put things around you just to encourage you as you're walking through, whatever process it is. If it's resume writing, then you have something that tells you that you can do it. Keep plugging away. Maybe you have friends that you're walking with it through, or you got a resume coach. Whatever it is, you need that encouragement to get through that process.
We have somebody in the chat, and I want to remind folks on the Health In, there is a chat section. Kavitha says, very nice info. And if you want to call in and ask a question, we are at 919-518-9773 in the United States. And if you're outside the United States, then use Skype, computers 2K voice. Okay, I'm raring to go. I want to know, does the format really matter?
That's a good question. Format does matter. There are 3 typical types of format if you're just going to do a resume, which is, remember, that short 2-page resume. Most of my research and people that I'm working with prefer a chronological resume format. They want to see your work history, most recent to the oldest. They want to know that your contact information is up at the top. They want to know your career objective, or at least your summary of qualification statements. So yes, format does matter. If you have been out of the workforce for a while, or you're quite possibly changing careers, then the other resume format to consider is what we call a combination functional resume. And there's a very good example of that on my site as well as Susan Ireland's site. But it is basically, it looks like a chronological resume, but it is skills-based. So if you're making some career changes and maybe all of your experience has been in clinical, but now you're making a change to do something in teaching, then there may have been some components in your job where you did some teaching. That's what you want to focus on. So at your previous job, you would have your work history, but then you would also have the skills that you acquired that match the job that you're going after. Does that make sense?
Great tip. And so let me understand you correctly, it's best to do bulleted points of skills. What about paragraphs?
No paragraphs.
None. Okay.
At the most, I would say, you have your contact information, and then you'll have your summary of qualifications as your next section. That could be 2 to 3 sentences, but that's really the only place where you'll see a chunk of verbiage. Okay. Otherwise, you want to have short, bulleted statements that a reader can grasp and understand very quickly. You don't want to bog them down with a lot of reading.
Thank you. Because they probably are looking through a lot of them, and they want to capture as much information in one page as they possibly can.
Exactly. They definitely are looking at a lot of resumes. We're getting numbers for many jobs, just one job. Recruiters and HR managers are seeing 200 to 400 resumes per job. And the only way that they can really get through that information is to do a quick skim. A skim of relevant keywords, of information that is relates to the job that they're looking to fill. And so if you have a lot of words on your page and not enough white space and the font is too small, it makes it very difficult for a recruiter to read. And so they put it in the pile, the trash pile, or the read later pile.
The read later pile sounds like the trash pile.
That's right. That's right. And most recruiters don't come back to the read later pile. They make a short stack of resumes that they can use to fill their job.
Okay. And is there any specific font we can use in the format like that? Many of candidates come with the stylish font in the name and then the plain text using the plain font. So there is any specific font?
Specific font. So I always tell my students simple is better. So I wouldn't go with anything cursive or difficult to read. Something like Courier or Arial or Times Roman or Georgia sometimes are very good, simple kind of block fonts. Nothing larger than size 10, nothing larger than size 14 as far as font size goes.
Larger than size 14 would be the maximum.
That's right.
And nothing smaller than 10.
That's right. Okay. We're seeing here 2-page resumes are okay. I would expect for someone in the healthcare field to have possibly a 2-page resume, and that's okay. The key here is just to make sure that the information on the resume is relevant and it speaks to the job from the beginning to the end.
So it's really focused and topic oriented. Like you were saying, if you're going to go into the research end, the research branch, or teaching or clinical area, whatever it is, you need to tailor it to match the job.
Exactly, especially if you're using the resume format. If you're going after research, though, you're going to use a curriculum vitae, and that is pretty much going to have everything you've done. So it may have all of areas where you've been published. It may have all of your affiliations. It will have everything on it, and some of it may speak to the job, but some of it may be overkill. But if you're going into a research type of position, they want to know everything that you've done, so you got to get it on that vita.
Well, how do you stand out from the crowd? I mean, if there's going to be 200 to 400 applicants, and you're not going to put it on fluorescent pink paper to make it stand out visually in that way. What can you say? Or how do you do that?
Very good question. So, the formatting, making it very readable is one big thing. And we've talked about that a little bit. Making sure that your name is very clear. Making sure if you have a LinkedIn profile or a profile somewhere that speaks to your reputation, that is clear and near the contact information. That helps you stand out. I've also seen where job seekers have put in a client testimony at the very top under contact information. So if you've had a particular client that has said something that is very strong and amazing about you, you can put that in quotes and you might say something like a testimony by a client, or you may list the client's first name and their last initial. That catches a reader's eye that, oh my goodness, they have clients. Somebody's written a testimonial about them. The other thing that I think about is what we call accomplishment statements. These are statements that speak about real accomplishments that you've had either in your volunteer work or on your jobs that you're infusing in a resume or vita. So let's say, for instance, you were a nurse's aide, and as a nurse's aide, you manage the care of over 50 patients on a weekly basis, with very few casualties or very few serious issues. That might be, you might have to word it a little different, but that's the kind of accomplishment statements that you want to infuse throughout your resume.
So in a way, that kind of shows your character, how much work you're able to cope with and handle. It kind of gives an example of the types of skills that you have. I really love the idea about the testimonial. But what would you put on a cover letter? Is that always included?
I always say send a cover letter. Even if it's a warm person, someone has told you to send your resume to someone else and they're going to call ahead, still send the cover letter along with your resume. And your cover letter is really just an intro. It's written brief enough to just get the reader of the resume an inkling of who you are and encourage them to read your resume where they'll find more information. So I always say in a cover letter, you say how you heard about the job, who referred you, where you found the job. You might have 2 or 3 short skills about personal skills or professional skills with respect to you and why you're a good match for the job. And then you always want to include some kind of follow-up. I will touch base with you on such and such day, or I will follow up with you on, Friday to answer any questions you may have. And then sincerely, your name, and then you attach that with the resume and send it on. So yes, I think a cover letter is important. It's like a highlight, a showcase of your resume.
Is it the first contact that they have from you? Or somebody says, send me something. And I really don't know. How do you do the greeting on that? Is it, who do you send, how do you address it? It's maybe a simple question.
No. So sometimes you'll know. Sometimes, you'll have a contact name. So it would be Dear Mr. So-and-so. It's always professional, Mr. and their last name. If you don't know who that person is, then it's just the title. Dear Hiring Manager, or Dear IBM Recruiter. You may have to, or to whom it may concern is always your last option. I always try and at least come up with the title or a personal name if I can.
Okay, that's great. As a young person, I always use the to whom it may concern, and I'm hearing now that it's the last one, which means to me that you really want to have done a background check of where you want to go to work, meaning that you don't start with the resume letter and the cover letter. You first find out more about the people that you're going to be contacting, so that you do have that initial name and get that connection. That way you're already familiar with the person and welcome to them. And that's really what social networking does today, because they can see you online on LinkedIn, in the most professional business network on the internet, or if they go to your Facebook, then they can see your face, so they know who they're talking to, and they can find out a lot about you just online.
Exactly. And you brought up a very good point. And I'm an engineer, so I'm very methodical in how I do things. And so you're right. When you see a job that you're interested in, I always tell my students, before you get started writing a resume, go on some of your job boards and start looking around and understanding what kind of jobs are out there and what's of interest to you. So you might go to Career Builder or Monster or Indeed.com or some of these specialty healthcare job boards, and you're looking for jobs that are a fit. I say either print them out or save them in a good, safe place where you can go back and read them and understand what are the skills, qualifications, keywords that they're asking you for. And then from there, hopefully you have a company name. You can do the research on LinkedIn, on, it just slipped my mind. There is a business listing that we use here, Spoke. You can get a little bit of information. There's also Reference USA, which we can access through our library system, which will give you some information about the business, the size of it, the headquarters. And then if you have a person's name, always try and Google that person's name. You might get some information about the person that you're sending the cover letter and resume to as well.
Great. Your screen has frozen, so just click your video to refresh it. And I think, let me see, do you want me to ask you some more questions, or do you want to put up your PowerPoint?
Let's put up the PowerPoint real quick.
Okay, great. Because we do have a whole bunch more questions, and while you're getting your PowerPoint ready, we will touch upon some homeopathy at the end for all of those fears and nervousness and anticipation and things for the people who want some extra energy to get through this process. Okay, we're ready for you.
All right.
And this is going to be an interesting way to do it. You're going to put your PowerPoint on your screen?
Can you see it?
No.
No, you started another session, which is not what you did before.
You started another session.
Yeah, we have you twice now on the screen.
Okay, so for those people who are nervous, we have a couple of homeopathic remedies. Dr. Sharma.
Oops.
Oh.
Dr. Sharma.
Dr. Sharma's gone? Okay, these things happen.
Yes,
I see him.
I'm here, Debbie.
Okay, so what would you say would be number one?
What in the world did she do?
She showed her whole screen. We're looking at her whole screen.
Yeah, but he should have been here.
Okay, so things like for a person who is really... Yeah. Go ahead. Are you going to tell us?
Yes. If we are talking other than the resume, we are talking about the fear in the candidate. Those are going for the interview. For the first day, when anyone is going to interview and he gets a loose motion on the day before or before 1 hour or 2 hours, and the medicine is argentum nitricum. It acting very well to the person who have anxiety like that. When he's going to going for examination, he got always the loose motions day before.
Right.
So that is the kind of personalities we will discuss after the presentation.
So for anticipation, and these people usually love sweets and don't do well with them. So high anxiety, Argent Night, and people can get this in their local health food store. This is over the counter. This is energy medicine. If it matches your resonance, then it's going to help you. If not, then just try it the one day. And understand that these shows are educational, informational. If you really have a chronic condition, you'll need to see your physician and your healthcare provider. Has she got it?
No, she needs to hang up.
No.
She needs to disconnect and reconnect.
Okay, Garla.
Yes.
We're going to instruct for you to hang up and start over. Call in again.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Yes. Here is in the chat. Kavita also suggests the medicine
All right, now
gelsemium.
wait, tell her to stay
Okay,
right.
you're okay. You're good now, Garla. You're in.
Okay.
Okay, we may skip the PowerPoint and just go with the points. So we're
Okay.
Dr. Sharma, do you have another remedy that you wanted to talk about for anticipation?
Yes. Yes. When Kavita says in the chat, there is also one remedy is gelsemium. Gelsemium is also have a fear inside. Gelsemium patient is always coming with the sweating on the face in front of the interviewer, and he is having weakness in the body, and he just get the palpitations in the heart, and he gets very anxious. And even everything is fine. His resume is fine. His knowledge is fine, but he have a fear inside. So gelsemium is really good medicine.
I love gelsemium. It's good even for anticipation that you're going to catch the flu or any type of anxiety of that nature. So those are two top remedies that will come in handy. Okay, Garly,
Yes.
you're back.
And,
You have another one?
You talking to me or Dr. Sharma?
Dr. Sharma, did you have one more?
yes, I have many more, but you can start with Gala.
Yeah, we want to finish
can
up
start with Gala.
the practical stuff, and then we're going to get the emotional support from the homeopathy. Go ahead, Garla.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Tell her to try it again.
since my presentation is not working, I'll just share
Tell her
with
to
you
try it again.
for
Okay.
resume.
He wants you. Amnon would like for you to try one more time.
Wants me to try again? Okay. Let's see. I shut it down because I was worried that it was creating some problems. All right, let's
Okay.
try this. You don't see anything right now, right?
Nope.
That's interesting.
Okay.
All right, let's see. We'll try share screen. Start to share. Start.
For some reason, oh, wait, we do have it. It's working.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Working?
Well, go for it.
Go for it. Yay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We chatted about already what a resume is. Basically just a brief encounter. It is a snapshot of personal, educational, and training, and it's almost always submitted before or after a job application. Practical applications, you're applying for a job in business, policy, regulation, writing, editing, any kind of professional type of environment. Normally a resume would be used. Curriculum vitae, we said, is a detail of all your accomplishments, everything. Academic jobs are where we normally see vitas, research jobs, anything where you've been given funding or grant money and what you've done with that grant money. You want to be able to communicate that through a vita. So, 6 main components of a resume: your contact information, your objectives, a summary of qualifications, your work experience, education and training, and your volunteer work. Now, for our high executives like your doctors, your CEOs, CFOs, you may eliminate a career objective and just go strictly with a summary of qualifications. For some of your lower level jobs, maybe is what I want to say, you may have a career objective and a summary of qualifications. So a nurse's aide is a good example, or a, possibly maybe someone, a custodian in a hospital. They may have a objective.
Well, I have a question about when a prospective employer wants to know why you want to leave a job. So, like, you're doing something now, and supposedly you're qualified, and then you're searching out a new position. They want to know why you want to change your job or why you want to work in that particular place. Is that part of the objective?
No, never is part of the objective. That normally would come during some kind of phone interview or email interview or web email interview, but you never want to put that kind of personal information in a resume. You never know whose hands the resume is going to get into. So the fact that you're leaving a job, you don't want to say. It is a verbal, hopefully, conversation that you have, and it may sound something like, I'm looking to make a career change, or more career advancement, or, pretty much it's time for a change for me. You never want to bash or talk about your employer in any means, even if it is a bad situation. It's time for me to move on. I need a change. I've been there for a little while. That's the kind of conversations you want to have.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. So CV main components, and as you know, I talk about CV because I know we're talking about healthcare resumes, and so there are going to be instances where CV is what's required. So the same, you need a name, contact information. Here, you can see education comes towards the top. People want to know what your education is, so that comes toward the top of a CV, along with your honors, your research experience. And then some additional areas or buckets where you can add information would be your publications, where you've been invited to talk, skills and techniques that you've acquired. If you have teaching experience, you want to spell those out, where, dates, topic titles, if you have them, grants that have been awarded to you. If you have research interests, where you're headed, you want to share that, and then memberships that you're involved in. So you can see with a CV, you can very easily get to 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages very quickly.
I see. So like in the objective, I'm still back on the objective, even though I've followed you along this path. Okay. So like maybe your dreams of what you want to achieve beyond what you've already done, is that fulfilling the statement of objectives?
So I've seen career objectives that could be as short as to work as a nursing assistant in a busy metropolitan hospital.
Okay, so it's very specific, very specific.
Very specific. And remember, hopefully we've done the research. We found 2 job listings that we're interested in. So you'll be able to pull some specifics out of that job listing to make that career objective relevant and specific. Okay.
I'm kind of getting the idea.
Okay. So I'll tell you another career objective. I'll read it. Might be to obtain a management position in a health services facility, utilizing my educational background in public health management and extensive experience in nursing. So you're basically saying what position you're looking for, what industry you'd like to go into, and what is your experience? What kind of 1 or 2 skills do you bring to the table that make you qualified?
Terrific. That really is great, because that helps me, even though I'm not looking for a position. I probably should tune up my resume, but that really does, it's almost like understanding who you are and where you want to be. I like that.
Exactly. All right. So we talked very briefly, how do you stand out among all the other candidates? It is through accomplishment statements, and there's some really good resources on the internet. If you just Google accomplishment statements resumes, you'll get to see some examples. It's not okay just to write tasks that you've done on a job anymore. You got to be able to share what you have accomplished on that job. And what it does is it makes the reader begin to envision what you've done on a job you may be able to do in their environment. So it's important to put some details behind, those accomplishment statements. I always say, if you can think in terms of revenue, maybe you increased revenue, or you managed a certain size staff, or you had particular success on a job. Those are the kind of accomplishment statements that you want to incorporate under your work experience that make a reader pay attention to your resume. So they always start with a strong action verb. You never use the same action verb twice. And you want to use the correct verb tense. So if you're currently in the job, then you may say something like reduce versus reduced. Okay. Or organize versus organized, whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
okay.
Yes, we really need to keep the tenses correct.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And for each job, so let's say you worked at a hospital as a doctor, most doctors are probably going to have more than 4 accomplishment statements, but 3 to 5 is the norm for each position. And so each of those statements is going to have an action verb that speaks to what they've done. And they're putting it again in terms of revenue or success, or maybe lives saved, or systems that were put in place. You're thinking in terms of things that will be valuable to the next employer.
Dr. Sharma, do you have any comments or questions? Are you? And don't forget, for folks who are listening and tuning in, you can call 919-518-9773 in the United States, or Computers 2K Voice via Skype. I think we're learning a lot together, Gorla.
Good, good. Now, did you say you don't have your resume yet and you're working on it?
I have one tucked away.
Okay.
Yes, I do have one. It's not been, it's been a year since I've looked at it.
I see.
So, I have one question.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, we're listening. We hear you, Dr. Sharma.
Yes. So how you explain the word believe?
Believe.
Believe?
Yes, and and the word written behind you. So how you will explain?
Believe.
He's interested in your inner philosophy and how you motivate yourself to believe.
That's a very good question. Believe. Believe is like, it's faith. It's, I believe in certain things as important to me, and they dictate my actions and how I go about, the goals that I set and what I do each and every day. And sometimes I can't see the results. I have to just believe. For instance,
Can we see your face while you're talking about belief? No, she's stuck. No, I'm sorry, she's stuck in there. Okay, that's okay. Yes,
sure?
yes. We just he wants to learn about these thoughts that you have, how belief fits into the whole picture.
So let's just take, for instance, resumes. I believe that if I put enough time into my resume, I will get the job that I'm seeking. It means that I have to put in continuous work, continuous edits, allowing others to look at my resume, believing that the people that I have around me care enough about me that they're going to give me good feedback about my resume. And if I do all of these things, I believe I will get a good job, a better job, a job that meets my needs. Does that answer your question?
Dr. Sharma.
That's good. That's great. That's why I want to listen from her mouth.
Oh.
So how she will explain.
Oh, you want her to tell more?
That's really great. And no,
I couldn't understand.
I have no question.
No, okay. So to me, if you were asking me, it sounds belief is your core value. Believe in yourself, in your ability, having that faith and trust, all of those character traits that's going to move you forward and enable you to to do your resume. It's all about you, and it's all about your relationships and what you believe in, whether you believe in yourself and believe in that others will see who you are and what you're capable of accomplishing and doing together, as in life. Do you have the same belief system as I do, Garla?
I think we have some parallels. We definitely have some parallels. It's work. It's believing, doing the work that's required, and then trusting that those results are going to come. So yes, I think we definitely have parallels.
Wonderful. I think you have maybe a couple more pages on your PowerPoint.
I want to jump real quick. So we understand that accomplishment statements in your resume are very important.
We don't see.
Oh, you're frozen again? Your screen is...
I am?
I guess so. So just refresh that video.
So refreshing is F5?
No, she has to...
Click on the Skype button for the video.
Camera.
The camera video.
Just like she did before.
Yeah. Well, we kind of went on a tangent there.
Got it.
But I think that is an important piece of the puzzle, that the focus is on preparation and putting everything that you've got into it in order to achieve. And that means sitting down and writing it out.
Writing it out. Thinking about what you've done in the past. And it doesn't have to be pretty when you're working on it. We worry about formatting later. Really, it is the content, recalling what you've done, what your accomplishments were, and how they match to a job.
So there's a little brainstorming at the beginning. It can be messy. But
it can be messy. It should be messy.
So sometimes you don't feel like it's all together, but then in the end, it's tidied up and put into the bulleted points.
Exactly. And I don't know that this presentation is going to work for us, these last couple of slides, but I will say one other important component
Okay.
is having someone review it.
Excellent.
It could be someone who's already working, who has used the resume recently and has gotten a job with their resume. That person would suffice. It could be a hiring manager who's a friend, who's used to looking at resumes. The point here is that you want some other eyes to look at it and critique it outside of you.
Very good. And we didn't even talk about grammar and punctuation and spelling and not having coffee stains on the paper and other things like that. But that's very important because it shows whether you're concerned with details, whether you have proofread, whether you have done something with someone else to review and see whether your finished piece, what you've produced, is of high quality. So we're just waiting for you to refresh your screen, but I think we might still be able to hear you. Yeah, there you are. Okay. So that was really a very important component, the finishing, the polishing of the resume.
Yes, and here in the States, many community colleges have these free programs to help you address your resume. I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but if you can find someone who deals with careers and developing careers, those are the people that you want to have look at your resume and give you a good critique about it, what they think, any suggestions they may have.
Right. And I also, when you say to reach out and find another expert, the second pair of eyes to review, it is also part of your belief and trust in someone else. That definitely you have to have the belief in yourself that you can accomplish and do this work, but also that you're able to, what is the word? Not acceptance, but sit back and let someone else trust that somebody else is going to also be able to review. So you have to be able to take criticism, right? In whatever whatever position you're going to be in, and if you're going to be in the workplace, that you have to be able to listen openly to what another person is going to give you in terms of advice. So if they say, even if you really, really wanted to put that testimonial in or whatever it is, that extra little piece of information, they say, this is a little bit too much, take it out. Even don't hang on to it, if you get maybe one or two people to say, it doesn't belong in there.
That's right. That's right. You have to be willing to take that feedback. And, that's a good point, Debbie, because there are a lot of career coaches out here. There are a lot of people who have gotten jobs through a variety of ways. And so I always tell my students, if you're trying something and it's not working with respect to your resume, maybe the resume format or the wording that you're using, you've sent it out on jobs and you're not getting callbacks from interviews, then it's time to make a change. And you may go talk to a career counselor or someone who's skilled at resumes, take that feedback, and then make changes. No one way is going to work. So you may try, feedback that one person gives you. If it doesn't work, maybe you move on and ask someone else. But don't get stuck in somebody told me to do it just this one way, and if it's not working, therefore it must be something else outside of me. No, be willing to change and adapt and keep changing until you get the results that you're seeking.
Right, because if it's not working one way, we need to have that flexibility. So really, writing your resume is truly about your character, to be able to have that flexibility, as you say, and to listen to other people and to know yourself very well. We only have a few minutes left to the show. I do want to thank you so much for being with us and helping us tune up our resume and build it the right way. I want folks to be able to contact you if they need to. Why don't you give the listeners a way to connect with you, maybe a little bit about your website?
Okay, very good. Our website is smart-moms.net, and that's a hyphen. It's kind of a dash in the middle between the smart and the moms. And you're welcome to visit our website. Anyone who is looking for a part-time job or a virtual job or a contract job, which is a job that could be full-time or part-time but has a beginning and end date. If you're committed to that type of work, then we encourage you to go to smart-moms.net and create a profile. Our employers are throughout the country, and we are building, and they are browsing resumes. They are posting jobs on our job board, and so they're looking for a community of individuals who are committed to that type of work to fill their positions. It is free of charge. We are an employer fee-paid service, and so there is no cost for the job seeker to create that profile. The profile basically consists of your keywords, what your skills are, what type of work you're looking for, the hours that you can work, and then uploading your resume, your cover letter, any certifications that you have, so that as employers are browsing, they can see who you are and reach out to you if they have an opportunity.
This is such a marvelous service that you provide for job seekers and also for employers who want to post their job availability. And you have made so many thousands of connections with people. I want to tell you that on the chat, Dr. Kavitha Kukanur has said that she is learning so much from you, and the way that we present ourselves, quote unquote, makes a lot of difference as they get an idea of who we are by the resume. And she thanks you so much for the great tips on writing the resume. She's going to listen to the show again. And she wants the website again. I will put the website, which is smart-moms, and .net. And this is for people who want to search for a job and for employers who want to post jobs. And you have really given everything to those moms and the people who are just getting back in the workforce, and also dads. Yes. And let's not forget students, because so many are coming out and they are struggling to find positions in this difficult economy. And there are things that they can do. And connecting with you is a good way to start. I understand that you have to leave. So we're going to, it's just about noon. And I want to thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Debbie, for having me and letting me share. And Dr. Sharma, it was a pleasure chatting with you and answering your questions. And I look forward to exchanging again on the topic of believing.
Very good. So I want to, as you leave, I just want to mention to the listeners out there that there is a lot in terms of homeopathy that can support you through these processes, whether it is, I'm still thinking about the folks dealing with the storms, and there's anticipation, there's anxiety, there's panic, fear, many other emotions and moods that move us one way or another, or prevent us, paralyze us from being able to do the things that need to be done in life to get through a difficult challenge. And some of the remedies that I will mention are aconite number 1, the biggest remedy for fear, for tragedy occurring. And then arnica for injury, stramonium also for terror, for fear of being alone, and this can happen if you're stranded. Hypericum for other kinds of nervous injuries. And then we have Ignatia, which comes a little bit later for grief and loss. Staphylos aureus if you're holding in so much anger from things that have happened to you. So these were I asked Garla earlier, how does a person present to her as someone who's going to guide and help them? She says most of the people come in a state of panic, anxious. They're not thinking clearly. They're really concerned about their financial concerns. What will they do with their children? They're really in that panic state. And Dr. Sharma, it looks like you were able to connect once again. So aconite and gelsemium and argentite, those are the top 3 homeopathic remedies that we can think of.
Yes, and I'm feeling one more medicine that is leccaninum for the fear of losses.
For the fear of failure.
That is really great. Fear of failure and fear of losses also. And I always write the argentum in the best.
Okay, so your number 1 remedy is argent nitricum, and then the other one is lacaninum, which a person really is indebted and wants to do good. Comes from dog's milk, and therefore, man's best friend. They want to serve, they want to do the best that they can, but they also have fears of not being able to make it through and doing their best. So I encourage people to send us questions and comments, and on the next show we'll see if we can answer them for you. And we have the website Homeopathy World Community, where you can look at all of the archives of the Health In Show. You can see the notes from this show and review any of those details that you wanted to take a look at. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma, for tuning in across the ocean. Maybe the storm is preventing this connection. Who knows? And, of course, keep saying those prayers. I think that Hurricane Sandy is supposed to kind of sit in that region for a number of days before it moves on. And you see the clouds in back of me? We want the clouds to separate and dissipate and not form that spiral. Let the sunshine in. So creating waves of awareness. We love you all, and prayers of love, safety, and protection from above. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Debbie. And there is a heartily condolence from us for the hurricane sufferers. Thank you so much. Thank Debbie. Thanks, Gala. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amnon.
Bye.
Thanks, Amnon.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. to noon. Health In with Debby Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. to noon. The Scope of Things with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 to 9 p.m. Body Talk with Cindy Prince, first Tuesdays 8 to 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 8 to 9 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.